So, good day, I guess, everyone. So, this time I'm going to talk a bit about writing a starting literary analysis essay for the Introduction to Literary Studies class. And today I'm going to talk a bit about how to write an essay. Of course, this is a beginning, what you call that? A beginning. Uh, let's start again. So, good day, everyone. This time I'm going to talk about writing a starting literary analysis essay. And for this time, we're just going to talk a bit about writing itself, writing, so shall we say, an analysis, a beginning analysis of a literary work. So, this is going to be a bit different from writing about, text or doing research, either quantitative or qualitative. Today we're going to start to talk about literary analysis. So, just as a overview in this time, we're going to do some introduction on how to analyze a work of literature and writing essays in literature, and we hope to come up with a working process. Now, a lot of people usually mistake the research sorry, I'm a bit cold today. Research in literary analysis as something of a library research, which is close enough but not quite. So basically, in writing an essay, a literary essay, you are actually doing an effort to tell other people what you think about a literary text. A literary text, in this case, the easiest examples are the short stories, the poems, the drama script that you watch. However, a modern literary text might also include stuff like films, cartoons, and then stories. Anything that has a narrative on it can also be considered a literary text. However, in this course, as an introduction course, we're going to focus on the more canon or more acceptable forms of literary works, which are the basics, the prose fiction, the poetry, and the drama. However, there is something about this that I want to emphasize about. This is an effort to tell, not just to tell actually, it is to convince other people what you think about a literary text. Now, let us go back a little towards the chapter that I assign you to read on writing an essay. So here you see the common misapprehension or misunderstanding is that students often think they are writing for the teacher. Yeah, an essay is an assignment from me, the teacher, unfortunately. However, it becomes a miserable attempt to guess about what the teacher wants, and writing that ultimately satisfies neither the student, that is you, nor the instructor, nor me. So that is why I was saying that writing literary analysis is similar to criticizing or enjoying a work of art. You might like it, you might not like it, but the idea here is to tell other people, to convince other people what you think about it, and how can you give your facts or build your arguments towards saying what you think about that piece of literature or work of art. Now, some people usually think about this is that writing can be especially hard to get ideas to start with. So in this case, you have to care for the work. That is the first thing that should be your consideration, not how hard or how easy that piece is, or how famous or not famous, but how do you enjoy it, because or not. Because if you care enough about a work, and then you can start talking about it, no problem. And of course, because this is a introduction class, you will always revise your thoughts and your ideas, and you can offer them in a different way. You can always improve. So there is no, of course, we feel a bit, a bit unprepared sometimes when we talk about something that we are not familiar with. In this case, it's about literature. However, this is actually quite similar to what to any kind of writing assignment that someone gave you when you're told to read something and then to argue something out of it or to make a commentary out of it. It is quite similar. The whole point here, as you would read in the book, is to improve your writing and to get a work that you like. So basically, these are the process that you should be doing. Of course, you start with a work of literature. The first thing to do is to read it. Find a good piece of literature, read it. It can be poetry, prose fiction, drama, etc. And then you would formulate or get an idea about it, whether you like it or hate it. But it has to be worth talking about. Worth talking by whose opinion? By your opinion. If you think it's a good piece of literature that you want to talk about it, then let's do an essay about it. If you think that this work is so bad and you just want to tell people how bad it is or how you dislike it, even though maybe many other people like it, that is something worth talking about, and the basis is you, your own personal preference. You also need to talk about the rough ideas why. You should think about, for example, I hate this cartoon, or I hate this comic book, or I hate this story. You at least have to have an idea why. And that's enough to begin a literary analysis of something. And then you have to continue to the study part and you read more about it. So usually when people read a work of literature, maybe a novel, maybe a story, etc., they would just read and think about it. But now we're going to go one step further and actually research about it. Research is similar to read more about it. We talk about these elements, the main elements of a work of literature, the major genres, like for example in prose and drama you'll have plot, you have settings, you have characters, etc. And you can talk about the author, you can talk about the culture surrounding that piece of literature. If it talks about somebody who is British, for example, you can learn more about the British or the English or the Welsh or the Scots culture around it, so you can talk more about it. And then the final idea here is to study or analyze it. That's the whole purpose of it. So it's no more than talking more seriously about what is your opinion, what your opinion is about a piece of literature. You should not think of it as something very hard or impossible to do, even if you're not majoring in literature, because literature is art. It's supposed to be consumed by people in general. It is not for the elites, or at least that's the general idea of beauty in any form of art or literature, is that anyone can appreciate it, or at least most of us can appreciate it. Now, there is an example given in the book, but for now I'm just going to give you a very simple example of a literary analysis. In this case I will choose a text, a children literature, yes, to show you that you don't really have to choose something really hard or something really foreign or something really alien to you. You can just choose a children literature. They are worthy of talking if you think that it is. And of course this is Curious George. There is the cartoon form, there is the text form. So I will go over both of these actually, because this is this is mostly given on the cartoon form. So Curious George, I'm sure everyone knows about this character. It's a monkey that goes, it's a children cartoon, yeah. The main character is a monkey and he has this adventures where he learns a lot of things along with his keeper or owner, probably the yellow guy with a yellow hat. He's never given a name, I think. They just call him the guy with a yellow hat. And this is of course Curious George. Now, the first thing you do is that the usual steps you do is that you decided, after of course watching or reading Curious George thing, either in the cartoons or in those books for children, either you like it or not, and then you decide what you want to talk about. What interests you the most out of this piece of literature, and then when you already find what you want to talk about, you have to be careful to limit the scope into a more manageable manageable scope that you can work with in your essay. We'll try to do that with an issue after this, and try to come up with a definitive answer about what you want to talk about. Or if you want to talk about Curious George but you're still hazy, and in the end, after doing research, you're still a bit hazy and a bit confused. You have to describe why that you think that you like it or not, but you can't really describe why. So it's a very open discussion, and it's supposed to talk about your opinion, which can be different from other people. So to put it into context, let's just do this. So do I like it or not? Let's say that I like it. I like this crazy monkey who is teaching humans, like going on reverse. Okay. And what do I want to talk about? I want to talk about George. That's the main reason why I like it. Well, there are many other choices. For example, I can choose the yellow guy, the guy with a yellow hat, because I think he's more interesting than George. Or I can talk about one of George's friends. That is to say, we talk about the characters, just like in the book says, in the example given there. However, George is a very big topic. We have to limit the scope. What side of George? Is it his physical appearance? Is it how he walks? Is it how he talks? He doesn't talk actually, just like, I don't know what monkeys do, make sounds. What are the things that he get involved with? There's so many options. We're going to choose one, which is funny. Why do I choose funny? Because I think this is main reason why I like Curious George. And then we found a definitive answer for this. I mean, if someone asks, because we're told, because an effort to convince other people will ask you, why do you like Curious George? Because Curious George is funny. And the definitive answer for this is that he acts really cute and friendly. And then we need to describe why, at least get some ideas or topics. Why is that? Because George is meant for children education. I think that's the reason why he was so funny, because it makes people, in this case children, get interested in this piece of writing, piece of cartoon or whatnot. So after doing that, after we found the topic, we write a question. What makes the character Curious George so interesting? It's just a paraphrase from this one. I just changed the words into question. What George is acting really cute and friendly and funny. I just changed those wordings into what makes the character Curious George so interesting. Why should we write this into a question form? Because it's easier to explain to people when we know what they want to ask about. So the whole essay should answer this question, and we come up with an answer, or at least a general answer at this stage. It can change after we do research. It's fine. After we get further information, we can still change both of these, the question and the answer. But for now, after watching Curious George or reading about Curious George, I would say the answer is Curious George is funny, friendly, and cute. I can also put in that he's meant for children education, but in this case, this is what comes up to me at this point. I think this whole thing is meant for the education part. But however, he's funny and friendly and cute. That's what I want to focus on. So, what you want to do after doing this Or if you can't really find a topic, is that you would write a brainstorming session. Brainstorming is just to find ideas in your head that comes, and you have to write down quickly. If you remember your writing classes or speaking classes, that when you brainstorm, you just write everything that comes to mind, no matter how unimportant or unrelated those ideas are related to the topic that you want to talk about. At this point, we just want to make a list of whatever topic that we consider has something to do, whatever ideas, sorry, that has some that have something to do with our topic. We start, of course, with our topic, which is Curious George, and it's also easier to write this in a map way. So that's why I'm putting this subtitle here, the title here, sorry, as mind mapping. Of course, if you look at the book, and also please understand that this explanation is supposed to support the explanation in the book. So you will have to read chapter 2 to understand completely what I'm talking here. This is not meant as a replacement for you to not read the book, because the book has all of this information and more. We start with a topic and we want to make a map out of it. First idea is that it's funny. That's what I want to talk about. Second idea is that it's cute. Third idea is that it's friendly. George is friendly, yeah? And I'm getting the fourth idea, which is reckless. Okay, now reckless here, I put in a question mark there because funny, cute, friendly is like positive. But reckless? Can we really say that it's reckless? Is it going against what I'm trying to say here, which is I like George and he's reckless? Okay, let's just write this. This is brainstorming, yeah? You just write everything. You don't really think about connecting these ideas now or truly describing them. And then I get the idea of that he's a monkey. Yeah, you write every ideas that come into mind. Doesn't matter. George is a monkey, yeah? And then it's a funny guy. Now, after seeing all of this, we get a map of sorts. We can know that funny, cute, and friendly are connected. They can be put into a bigger, larger discussion. Sorry. However, reckless, I think reckless, when I want to talk about reckless, I have to connect it to it being funny or cute. And that it is a monkey. So you see, I'm starting to formulate an idea that the main idea that I want to talk about. This is especially helpful if you cannot find exactly what you want to talk about. So mind mapping helps you to give priority to one thing or another. In this case, I prioritize funny. Why funny? Because it's cute and friendly. In what way is it cute and cute? It's reckless. In what kind of recklessness? It's monkey. Monkeyish kind of way, you know. So this is probably the first priority, the big thing that I want to talk about. These are the explanation, and these are even the less prioritized order of topic, you know. How about funny guy? Now funny guys already has this word funny, so we can just remove it. A guy, no, this is a monkey. George is a monkey, not a guy. So we can just remove this thing and settle with the topic. However, it's a good idea when you do brainstorming or mind mapping that you talk this with other people. Now, in this case, if you think about your presentation that you're going to do, and this is the topic for your presentation, you want to talk to other people and come up with many kinds of mind mapping. That will make your discussion rich. In this case, we miss one thing actually, is that George is curious. It's a curious, the whole name of this thing is Curious George, right? You have the word curious right there. So the most important thing is that it's curious. It is funny because it is curious. You can see this after you see the relationship and you suddenly realize, okay, I'm missing something here, and it's actually part of the name of George, which is Curious George. So it's always a good idea to show your mind mapping to other people and talk about this thing to other people as well.